All right, well, here we are. I promised I'd do a live twin deck list, so here we are. This is what I'm currently running with the cat, of course. I've done pretty well with this list. I've gone undefeated at locals. I've gone undefeated at a YCS VIP qualifier for the December YCS, and then I went 5-1 at a case tournament. So we're just getting the live twin proper ratios here. We're playing 3 lil-la, 1 treat. Treat's the worst of the 2 extenders, so you only want to play it at 1. You want to leave that in deck, and then just search that out if you really need it. We're playing triple ki-sikil, double frost, because frost is just infinitely better than treat. The +1 means you actually want to see it in your opener there. We're playing triple secret password as the searcher for anything in the archetype. Triple sunny snitch to search those live twins, double homes to get back into your plays, and then 1 challenge to insulate. So if we get hit by something, we can add challenge off the secret password for the end phase that we can reestablish on our opponent's turn in case we get hit by like a kaiju or a droplets or a dark ruler on our triple sunny. Just gives us a little bit of opportunity to play through some of those blowout cards that we can't normally play through otherwise. Now, rounding out our live twin package for the deck, we're playing one of the Evil Twin main deck monster. This is one of the worst cards ever printed, and I hate that we have to run this, but it is very necessary. You don't want to draw it, you don't want to summon it, but you want to send it off Trouble Sunny, just because it's the only way to deal with a couple of issues. People ask me all the time if I'm serious about the cat in this deck, and I really like the cat. It's come up all 6 rounds of the case tournament I played in, pretty much every round of locals and the remote YCS qualifier I played in. They punch well above their weight, and that Omni-Negate is really great. Really not much to say there. So let's get into the hand traps. So our first hand trap is double Nibiru, and the hand traps in this list are a bit weird because we have to consider hand traps that would hurt us because we're playing cross out, which you'll see later. And Nibiru trades well with stuff like Baron, so I think it's good enough to play this format, and it helps insulate our plays as well. Now, Ash Blossom isn't the most high impact card this format, but it can hit pretty much anything in some regards, so I think it's worth playing in that respect. Now, this next hand trap is the one I'm least sure about in the main, which is Droll and Lock Bird, because it's very good versus decks like Bird Up or Fluon or Drytron, stuff like that, but decks it doesn't hit, doesn't hit. So you might want to cut this in favor of a different hand trap, but that's up to you, depending on what you want to see. I think the Bird Up matchup's bad enough that you might want to justify it. Veiler is a great hand trap this format. You might want to cut a Droll for the 3rd Veiler, actually. Depends what you want to do. Veiler is good. It's less good imperm because you can't hold it for your turn, which comes up. So maybe 3's the right call, but I have it at 2 here. To complement our double Veiler, we're playing triple infinite impermanence. I think it's the highest impact against the most decks, just in kind of price to performance ratio here. A lot of things that you can Ash aren't maybe the highest impact this format, but Imperm usually puts in its weight. You can hold it on your turn to stop a negate, and then start playing your live twin lines, which I think makes it well worth it. So this next section of the deck is going to be our power, spell, and traps. So these are things like IO. Just good cards to have. If I flip IO, I'm having a good time. If I get IO flipped against me, that's not a good time. This deck needs spells to play. So I'm main decking IO, so when they go ahead and flip this up against me, I got cross out in hand, and I can cross out my own IO and still have my spells for the turn. That's come up more times than I'd like to admit, and I think it's worth minting the IO just to cross it out, honestly. So these next 3 are power spells that we lose to. Live Twin loses to pretty hard, just when people have them going second. So I run these all at 1 as cross out targets that don't hurt to draw if you are, looking for them. I used to run Dark Ruler at 1 in the main, when people are running Dark Ruler more often, and I'll side it in on occasion going first, just if I know they're going to try to Dark Ruler me, so I can have that cross out set and stop them, because if they're not playing hand traps, they're probably playing those blowout cards. We're playing 2 Chalice just because Scythe's running around, DP's running around, and just being able to stop that from resolving is great. It's also 2 extra copies of Imperm, essentially going first, and then you can just bait those negates going second. Very, very good card this format. So getting into the extra deck here, we're playing triple ki-sikil link, which lets you draw the card, and then we're playing the double lil-la pop. Now we're playing 1 less lil-la than the ki-sikils because you're more likely to go into a ki-sikil turns 3, turns 4, turns 5. Just because if you have your things in graveyard, you want to bring back that lil-la and start breaking the board immediately instead of drawing a card. It just lets you play into things better. So I think of the two, you're more likely to use 3 ki-sikil, and I haven't missed the third lil-la personally. Now, of course, we're playing the triple Sunny Snitch. Sunny Snitch is the card that put the deck where it is. You can tag this out, summon one of each from your graveyard, and that just lets you trigger all your effects, pop, draw, the whole shebang, and then being able to banish it, send a lil-la from the field, and then send one, pop one with the revive from the ki-sikil, or sending the main deck Evil Twin just gives the deck one of those stronger removal options in the format. Now, rounding up our links here, we are playing one Nightmare Unicorn. I think this is the strongest of the Nightmares consistently, just because the spin effect is good. You can co-link it easily with ki-sikil and lil-la. So after you spin, you get the draw, has a good stat line, you can punch over stuff pretty well. And then it's a Fiend for the Fiend lock that you get off the Evil Twins. So very good card there. You can play the other Nightmares if you have room, but I don't think I do. We're playing one Decode Talker Extended as well. This is our OTK tool of choice. We're playing this over Transcode Talker because Transcode Talker gives some targeting protection, but Decode Talker does more damage on the OTK line. The general idea is if you have 2 Evil Twins at the end of your turn, you can link into Decode, then go into Treble Sunny. And in the battle phase, if you attack him with Treble Sunny, use the Treble Sunny effect to bring back the ki-sikil lil-la. You can go Chain Link 1 extended to ki-sikil 3 lil-la or something like that. So you get the pop, you get the draw, and then you get the extra attack on the extended, which is boosted to 33. So that's 99, and then 22, which is well over lethal. Our final link here is going to be one Lingrivo. Now this is a great card when you're playing into a bunch of back row because it's a trap card, negate, banish, which is really key against decks like Eldritch because you don't want to give them those resources back. It's very easy to make. You just make it off any of the little live twins because they're all cybers, and then just live twin plus extender gets you to Lingrivo plus your whole line, which I think is pretty fine and dandy. There's some debate whether or not Gachi Gachi is the best Zeus target for this deck. I think it is personally. Just the destruction running around right now lets you bait out an extra interaction and confidently still make Zeus, unlike Sky Cavalry, where if they just pop it, it's dead. The bigger body is nicer on Sky Cavalry, but Gachi Gachi with that destruction protection is, I think, a little bit better. One thing to keep in mind here is that if you're playing Downer Magician, I'm not, but if you are, Gachi Gachi is just so much better because you can confidently make that Zeus even if you get that extra destruction, so you can get that 2 mats under it. Now, back in Spiceland, we're running Melfi of the Forest and Herald of the Arclight. Now, these are the 2 cards that make the things tick. Any live twin plus extender lets you make the Melfi, which searches the cat, and then the cat searches Hopier, which summons the Arclight, and gives you an Omni Negate off the live twin main line, which I think makes this whole thing well worth it. Just that extra negate that you know you're going to have really helps push the deck through, in my opinion. So yeah, let's get in the side now. So these 3 cards are just one-ofs in here. I'm not entirely confident in their being here. I threw the extra Chalice in here just because I was afraid of DPE and I was afraid of Chalice. And it did come up. Raigeki, I figured monster removal is good. I don't have a copy of Lightning Storm. And the 3rd Droll and Mockbird is definitely necessary. So just if you're playing against Bird Up, just seeing it is so important there. Now we are siding triple Dark Ruler no more. It's not as good as it used to be because Bird Up can have the Tribe Brigade Oath. DP is going to Scythe block you in decks like PK, and then Sword Soul's still going to have their Blackout most likely, but it's still a good card just to have to bait some of that stuff, as well as just clearing up a lot of rogue strategies there. Also, you can side it in going first, just 1 copy if you think you're going to cross out that they're not playing Handtraps. They're probably going to side in a Dark Ruler against you. For back row hate, we're on triple Cosmic Cyclone. I think it's better than Twin Twisters right now, just because it can remove that Scythe. Triple evenly matched for those back row decks. And then a red reboot, just because it's pretty easy to stun up all their back row, go into a evenly, or get a Zeus on the board, and just clean up when you're playing against a trap deck. Red Reboot's also pretty good because it can turn off a lot of the high impact traps that people are playing this format. You know, because most decks have a trap they're playing. You could also play Harpy's Feather Duster here, or cut a different card on the side for it. I think it's a bit slow, this format, just because most things are going to be activating during the main phase, and you want to hit them before that. It also lets them resolve the scythe, which is pretty big right now. So I'm not playing Harpies, but if you're playing against an actual trap deck, it's probably a good call to put that in there. Now, our only going first side card here is going to be our Anti-Spell Fragrance. This just forces out a lot of interaction. It turns off a bunch of searching. You flip this up, people have to immediately respond with their quick plays, and it turns off stuff like Dark Ruler, which is for more reason that card isn't the greatest this format, but it's good. It's still good, you know. Any spell, very good, turns off a lot of deck searching. Some decks don't care about it too much, like Bird Up doesn't care too much about it, and that's one of our harder matchups, so I'm not entirely sure that we should be deciding something else for that, but Anti-Spell just cleans up so many games, so it's I think it's well worth it. That's the list, but I'm going to give my thoughts on some other cards here, starting with some draw spells. So the two big draw spells I think you can play here are going to be your Desires and your Avarice, outside of extra copies of Triple Tax, of course. Desires, I think, is a garbage card in this deck, just because you need those one-ofs, those live twins in the deck, especially when you're playing the cat. Avarice, I'm really interested in, though. I haven't had time to test this personally, but you have a lot of monsters going in the graveyard. You have Handtraps, you got your twins, and you have your cat line as well. Now, conveniently, the entire cat line is 4 cards, and Avarice adds back 5, so you can just put the cat back and get an extra Omni-Negate whenever you want, which I think is pretty good in theory. I don't know if it's worth running, though, because you're probably going to be in a pretty good position at that point, or you're in a very bad position. But you have the monsters in the grave. You're not going to be having to shuffle back your links, especially if you're playing that cat line. It might suck to draw turn 1, let's say, though, just because you don't have that guarantee of the 5 monsters all the time. Now, just for some extra cards here, we've already talked about Sky Cavalry, but there's stuff like Unchained Abomination, IP Masquerena, and Baguska, which you're summoning off of a included Parallel Exceed. I'm not the biggest fan of the Exceed just because you need to hard draw it. I prefer the cat because it's searchable off the main line. Abomination's it's a good card, but you're not going to make a link for it that's not Trouble Sony too often, and I think it's just a little bit too low impact for the investment you have to put into it. Sky Cavalry is good, don't get me wrong, but just I think the destruction running around Gachi is better. The 2K on the body, though, is good. Now, IP's the Link Devotee, Link Disciple line, gets you into a unicorn on your opponent's turn. I don't think that's worth it because it's an extra spin, and I'd rather just play the cat. It's searchable. The Exceed gets you into Baguska, which is a good card, but you have to hard draw the Exceed, and the Baguska takes up space. I don't think it's worth running that. Now we have some more quick play spells to consider here. I think these are both pretty good cards, honestly. Crosswipe lets you tribute to Cyberse, and then pop a card, and then enemy controller lets you change battle position, or more importantly, tribute a card, and then take a opponent's monster, face-up monster, which I think is very powerful this format. Both these are great going second because they get rid of you can't target the thing, so you can clear them for droplets or an imperm potentially to dodge some stuff. If you tribute a live twin on summon and the imperm, you still get the other effect, so you can summon the other thing and bring out another live twin and do your full combo there. And then enemy controller is good going first as well, because you can. Well, they're both good going first because you can just tribute your things on your opponent's turn as well. I don't think crosswipe is particularly compatible with the cat line, but you can do a similar thing where you bring back one of the big ones, one of the small ones, and then tribute the small one to use the effect of the big one to bring back the other big one, and that gets you 2 pops instead of 1. But it's another hard draw, and I don't think it's quite worth it. Now, enemy controller is a bit more high impact because you can steal their body, which ends a lot of turns. It's just, I'd rather play Chalice right now. If I wasn't playing Chalice, I'd probably play enemy controller, just because that negation's a little bit better because of stuff like Scythe and DPE. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Live Twin at the moment. There's some other variants out there, like the Dogmatic variant, which I think is another thing you have to hard draw into, which I'm not the biggest fan of, and it can break a little bit more often. I think the consistency of the pure version, especially with the cat, I think is the way to go. I have issues with the Dagda line as well, just because you're burning all your interactions on the one Dagda pop, so you can get the scythe, and I think that's just a little bit too high risk for my taste. Like it's good if it goes off, but I just can't justify it personally. One thing I cut from the list here that I didn't mention was Alpha the Master of Beasts. It's a very good card in the deck because you can summon the cat again after you do the full line and then get the Alpha to hand, so you can really come back on the next turn. Or if they stop your Trouble Sunny, you can search that Alpha and then break their board on the next turn. But I ended up cutting it because it just hurt to draw when you're going first. And I'd rather be playing something like Chalice and that thing. So that's my list. That's my thoughts on Live Twin. Yeah, let me know what you thought. It's a fun deck. It's a fun deck. I'm having fun. It's a cat. It's a cat in Live Twin. It's a cat 6. What do you want me to do about it, huh?